Hey, I just got back from a run, and during the middle of it, I started to think about what I think is the most surprising thing most people don't know about perfectionists. I would say that I'm a perfectionist. I didn't know that for years and years and years and years, but the more I've spent studying perfectionism and goal setting and performance and all these things, I realized, oh no, I'm a perfectionist. And that's one of those things that sounds like a positive trait at first. When you hear people talk about it, they're like, well, I struggle with perfectionism. They say it as if it's a benefit to their life. It's almost like one of those fake things you say in a job interview. They go, what's your biggest weakness? And you go, I guess I give too much to the company. People have said that. Like, I work too hard. I just overgive. Like, that's my biggest weakness. But perfectionism is actually a poison that pretends to be a vitamin because it's just a really fancy form of fear. The way I like to say it is perfectionism is fear wearing a tuxedo. And I spent years researching it and studying it. I wrote a lot about it in my book, Finish. And one of the most surprising things that came up was that perfectionists, the ones you know, have the messiest cars and the messiest offices. The ones in your life, the people that you know who struggle with perfectionism, have the messiest cars and the messiest offices. Why? Because they can be neat freaks. They can be type A, but unless they can clean the car down to the toothbrush level, like get the toothbrush in between that part of your, like between the seats where french fries fall, like unless they can clean it perfectly, like detail it with like some chamois cloth made out of like a clouded snow leopard's tail, unless they can go to that detail, they won't even do anything. Same with their office. Like their office will have empty coffee cups and like water bottles and like a possum family in the corner. I call the big one Bitey. It's a Simpsons reference. Best episode of The Simpsons, in my opinion, was the monorail episode. Conan O'Brien wrote it. You can argue in the comments, but I think it's the best episode.
I call the big one Bitey.
So what happens is a perfectionist would rather get a 0 than a C minus. And what I mean by that is I meet perfectionists all the time that go, I've got a running goal. My running goal is to run 3 miles a day. But today I only had time for 2 miles, so I'm not going to do any. And you want to say, dude, 2 is so much more than 0. But a perfectionist, again, they'd rather get a 0 than a C minus. They don't want to do something midway, so it's perfect or not at all. And then most things, here's the problem with perfectionism, most things, especially new things, can't be done perfectly right out of the gate. So right now, there's people watching this video that want to get their finances in order. Like maybe that's a goal, especially in the midst of like all the craziness of this summer, all the craziness of this year. You're like, whoa, we got to get our finances in shape because next year's uncertain or there's going to be a recession. And so they sit down and the perfectionist goes, okay, I have to know where every single penny is going. I have to get every bit of finances perfectly, and I have to know how to do 401k, and I have to do like mutual funds, and I have to figure out the stock market, and it becomes this huge, overwhelming kind of mountain, and then they don't do anything, and they get stopped because they can't give themselves the freedom to go, you know what? I'm going to work on my money over the next 6 months, over the next year, and I'm going to get these things in progress. Same with writing a book. People say, you know what? I want to write a book. I'm going to write 1,000 words every day. Today I only have time for 200, so I'm not going to do any. Every goal that a perfectionist approaches, they approach it with all or nothing thinking. It's either perfect or not at all. And I'm just here to say that if you'll do the 2 miles, if you'll do the C minus, that adds up over time. So every morning, if I say, okay, I've got a busy schedule today, I want to run 4 miles, but I only have time for 2 and I don't do any, guess how much that ends up? If I do 0 miles 10 days in a row, let me do them. I'm not good at math. Like my poor kids with virtual learning, like they are in so much like if you think I'm going to be able to help my daughter with like AP calculus this year, like thank goodness she's smart because I'm very useless at AP calculus. But let's do the math. If I say, okay, every morning for 10 mornings in a row, I wanted to do 4, I only had time for 2, so I'll do 0. 10 times 0 is 0. But what if I push past the perfectionism? What if I push past all my fear about it has to be perfect or a certain way, and I run 2 miles every day for 10 days? 2 times 10 is 20 miles, and over a year that adds up. If you do the same principle with your business, if you want to start a business and you go, okay, it's not going to be perfect. Like, it can't be. Like, I can't have all these ideas of perfectionism or I'll never actually start the business. There's a lot of people right now watching this who have half-finished books, half-started businesses, half-started diets, half-started running plans, half-started goals where they said someday when it's perfect, when it's actually able to be perfect, I'll do it. But again, here's the thing I'd have to tell you, it's not going to be perfect. There's going to be a lot of days where you do the 2 miles, where you do the halfway, but that halfway is so much more important than 0. So perfectionists, stop saying that. Stop taking the L. That's what you're doing. We never look at that. We never go, today I took an L. If you said that out loud as a perfectionist, you'd get over your perfectionism a little bit faster. If every day you tried to say, okay, I'm not going to take a full L. Like, I'm going to do the 2 miles. I'm going to get 1 bill paid. I'm going to write 100 words. I'm going to research 1 new client, 1 new business. I'm going to do a little bit versus taking the L. You'd actually, over time, get over some of that perfectionism. So thank you for watching this. If you're a perfectionist like me, let me know in the comments. I'll totally share as many ideas about beating perfectionism as I can. It's a work in progress for me. I'm in the same trenches as you are right now going, okay, here's what perfectionism is telling me. Here's the truth. So how do I listen to this more often than perfectionism? Because that voice of perfectionism is super, super loud. So if you're a perfectionist, let me know in the comments. Please hit like, hit the bell. And thank you for subscribing. I really appreciate that. I'll keep making these videos if you keep watching them.